everybody, and welcome to another ASMR video here on the channel. Now we're finally back with another conspiracy theories video here. They are something that is very popular here on the channel, and it's been a little while. Well, it's been a little while since we've uploaded consistently, so it's definitely been a little while since we delved into some crazy theories that exist in the world. Now, this theory was requested multiple times, so thank you to those who did request this. And it is the hollow earth theory. Now, I didn't really have too much knowledge of this theory coming into this video, other than the fact that I've watched Journey to the Centre of the Earth, which I assumed was the sort of the premise of this theory. So we're gonna read through some articles and take a little look at what exactly is the belief of hollow earth theory. So I reckon that's introduction's done. Let's dive into this conspiracy theory. We sometimes see our world with different eyes based on the knowledge that we have. If a child is born with no knowledge of Earth and indoctrinated that our planet is flat, they have no reason to doubt their parent or mentor. Our curiosity is what drives us towards education since a very young age, not only to our origins but also about this rock that we have life on. Based on the historical notes from early researchers and explorers of this earth, we have accumulated knowledge that allows us to acknowledge the shape, size, and resources available on our home rock. But when it comes to the core of the earth, we don't have any questions, as we think that besides thousands of kilometers of bedrock and some very hot magma, there is nothing of interest. So why wonder, right? Well, this is because over the last 2 centuries, the modern era of exploration, not that many people ventured towards exploring the corners of the world that are still left in the shade, and which may be drawn on the map just to fill the empty space. But truly, there may be nothing there, or something we are not yet aware of. This is because exploring takes not only a lot of time and resources, but it's quite a risky business, hence why only a few come back. We are already proceeding to colonize Mars, whilst there are many undiscovered places on Earth, or places that have been lost in time. We don't know what lies at the bottom of our oceans, and the deepest hole we dug in the crust of our Earth is only 12.2 kilometers deep. Therefore, there are still a lot of unknowns. On a separate note, the ocean is terrifying. How little we know about what's in the seas is so scary. Moving on to the hollow earth theory and its origin. For many years, people didn't really wonder that much what is within Earth, and this is because they always had bigger problems on their hands, such as wars, famine, or pandemics. The wonder was brought by early geologists, but it never reached public attention. It was not until the late 19th century that this wonder reached public attention, and it did not only reach the support of the public, but even the support of scientists, politicians, and world leaders. The idea behind the theory is that the Earth is actually hollow inside, and that it encapsulates more land and water with a separate ecosystem sustained by the sun, represented as the core of the Earth. The Earth's crust or bedrock of 2,400 kilometers is what separates what has been described as a separate civilization from gas which lives outside the crust. The origin of the theory was fueled by the famous novel Journey to the Centre of the Earth by Jules Verne, published in 1864. The novel was originally published in French, but it quickly got translated into different languages and distributed all over the world. The book got so much attention that in 1867 Jules Verne published another version that expanded on the detail of the centre of the Earth. The novel story represents a team of explorers who go down into a volcanic crater towards the centre of the Earth through the South Pole. After 2 months, the exploration team finally reaches the core of the Earth, where they discover a whole new civilization powered by their own sun. This civilization was as advanced as our own world in the 19th century, with a great emphasis on infrastructure. The next section is called Mediatization of a New Discovery. This is where the problem started, as the book got more and more popular. Some people actually took this book not as a novel, but as if it were actually stating the findings of a new discovery. Remember, this was back in the 1870s. This also attracted the attention of different scientists that were inspired by the novel towards actually believing that this theory could be true. Many writers have started a mediatization campaign of this new discovery to the rest of the world, just like how social media today misinforms the masses, but a lot slower. The first evidence of this was seen and published in the late 19th century by a researcher within the field of geography. The book is entitled Physical Geography, written by Arnoldo de Azevedo, who writes about a mysterious world beneath our own feet, with the argument that scientists at the time knew nothing about what is 5 miles beneath their feet. The author goes over saying that scientists only come up with theories and hypotheses to entertain the world without having any hard evidence, and allowing the reputation of scientists to define the reliability of any theory. Based on 19th century scientific standards, it is pretty true. A quote from this book states, "We have below our feet an immense region whose radius is 6,290 kilometres, which is completely unknown, challenging the conceit and confidence of scientists." Azevedo also came up with his own scientific hypothesis behind the theory. When the Earth was still forming as a planet, most of the Earth was just soft lava, and due to this, the centrifugal speed at which the planet was spinning forced the lava from the centre or core of the Earth to settle on the side, therefore making the Earth hollow. Due to lower centrifugal force at the 2 poles of the Earth, holes to the hollow centre have also formed. Believe it or not, there is actually a calculation that supports this theory. The total size of our planet's surface is 431.5 million kilometres squared, which should give a weight 6 times bigger than the actual weight of the Earth, which is 5.972 times 10 to the power of 24 kilograms. I think I've read that right. This means that the Earth is not necessarily hollow, although it can be a logical explanation, but for some reason, our planet is a lot lighter. What is even more interesting is that the 19th century isn't actually the first time this theory was mentioned as a possible scientific theory. The first mention of this theory was done in 1692 by Edmund Halley, a researcher in astrology and mathematics from the University of Oxford, who put forward the idea that Earth has different size hollow shells inside, just like presented in this image. If we were to go even further in history, we would see mentions of similar theories of the Earth being hollow, although the reference and ideologies are very vague, with of course Greek scholars being the first to think of it. Going back to the 19th century, after the publication of Azevedo's work, there have been a large number of scholars who came up with support for this theory, or very similar variants to the theory itself. This next section is titled Looking for the Holes at the Poles. When it gets really interesting is in the 20th century with the book The Hollow Earth by Dr. Raymond Bernard, who was a very popular writer but also very much controversial, and this book is one of the main reasons. In the book, Bernard talks about the expeditions held by Richard Evelyn Byrd from the Arctic in 1947 and Antarctica in 1956. Byrd and the rest of his team found the interior concavity that leads to the hollow centre of the Earth, the North Pole with a distance of 2,700 kilometres, until the scope of the inner land, and the South Pole with a distance of 3,700 kilometres. The land inside Hollow Earth is quite tropical and filled with a civilization that is 10 times more advanced than ours. In the book, there is also a reference to all this in another book, which debates about these two holes from each of the poles towards the centre of the Earth. The book is entitled Worlds Beyond the Poles by Amedeo Giannini, published in 1959. It is amazing how many books have been published on this matter, and these are the most popular ones, not taking into consideration the thousands of others lost in time. The next section is titled International Support. During the early 20th century, the theory really got the attention of scholars from various fields. A group of Russian scientists had discovered that the magnetic North Pole isn't represented by a single spot, but by a line that is almost 1,500 kilometres long, which goes over the polar river up until the Taimyr Peninsula from Siberia. Based on this hypothesis, this represents the edge of the polar concavity, and any on the edge of the magnetic pole can be called the magnetic North Pole, because on this edge any compass would point to the north, no matter the position of the compass. Science isn't able to explain this phenomenon and blames it on the particles that are electrically charged from the sun. Even German scientists before the Second World War had researched this theory, but sadly all the research papers have been lost or destroyed during the war. How convenient. Since the middle of the 20th century, there have been smaller writers publishing about this theory, but around the 1970s, when the scientific revolution took place, the interest within this theory was lost. It is interesting to see how many papers have been published disregarding the theory, yet we still only base our belief that the world is not hollow on calculations that for some reason don't add up. Is it all a big lie supported by scientists and writers seeking attention? I will let you be the judge of that. That's how that article finishes. I mean, it's a really interesting idea. I mean, I would love, or maybe not the film Journey to the Centre of the Earth. The one I'm talking about is the one with Brendan Fraser in it, and they run away from a T-Rex. But it's a pretty cool concept, I have to admit, but I mean, who knows? Maybe there is a civilization down there, but to me it just feels like people got so carried away with this book, Journey to the Centre of the Earth, that they loved it so much and got so carried away with it that they started to believe it, and this just started a wave of scientists who knew they could get, some attention to their name, and so decided just to write stuff backing it up. But yeah, the next article I'm going to take bits from is titled "The Hollow Earth is Filled with Giants, Germans and a Little Sun." So it's going to look at a little bit more at what people have claimed is in this hollow earth, is in the centre of the earth. Among most believers, the inside of the hollow earth is a lush tropical paradise that very likely houses an advanced race of humans, aliens, giants. In most scenarios, the inhabitants are the descendants of ancient races such as the Lemurians, or, as in Clough's view, the lost 10 tribes of Israel, guided there through the North Polar opening by God himself. No matter where they come from, they are generally characterised as peace-loving, well, that's good, and advanced far beyond our own. They have flying saucer technology. There you go. They live lives of perfect health for hundreds of years. Their science is much more advanced, because they live much longer lives, says Clough. The perfect climate believed to exist in the hollow earth is said to produce animals and people that are larger and far more healthy than those on the surface. It has a perfect temperature. God made the inner sun so that it provides heat during the night and a little bit less at night. Trees grow up to 1,000 feet tall. Humans even grow up to 15 feet tall. Because of the ideal conditions, animal life grows really large also. This inner world is sometimes called or associated with Agartha, a legendary city at the Earth's core often tied to Eastern mysticism. If it is to be believed that the Earth is in fact hollow and home to all manner of super race and megafauna, why have we never contacted them or gone there? Well, according to this Clough, we have, but an international banking conspiracy has worked to cover up the existence of the hollow earth and hide evidence of any holes. This sort of paranoid conspiratorial, I can never say that word, thinking tends to be another hallmark among modern hollow earth believers, because really there is no other force that could be keeping us from engaging with the wonders of the inner earth, given our current level of technology and exploratory freedom. One of the most popular pieces of evidence for hollow earth is a supposed secret journal entry by Admiral Richard Byrd, who we've already talked about a little bit, who claimed to be the first person to fly over the North and South Pole. According to believers, Byrd's secret journal from 1947 included a report of flying into one of the holes and making contact with the race that lives inside the Earth. Of course, this too has supposedly been covered up. Well, what do you guys think? I mean, I think the interesting thing with conspiracy theories is they challenge our traditional way of thinking, isn't it? With whatever it may cover, and I guess a lot of people have just accepted that the Earth's core is just a load of hot molten lava and whatnot, because that's what we get sort of taught and told about, and that's it. We don't question it. So maybe the main thing to take away from this is not that there's an advanced race living in the middle of the Earth, but in fact challenge things, don't just accept things willingly. Having said that, in my opinion, this conspiracy theory is absolute rubbish, but it's nonetheless interesting to read about and, you know, gauge what the kind of thinking was at the time, particularly in the 18th, 19th centuries. But they were just very superstitious at the time and didn't have the resources that we have today. And like that article said, surely now we would have dug to it if we could, but we can't, so we haven't. And that ends my TED talk. But yeah guys, I hope you did enjoy this video. As always, please do comment down below any future conspiracy theories that you'd like to see covered. And yeah, it's likely that I'll do them. I've got a relatively big list of conspiracy theories, but obviously there's a limited amount of good ones. So if you could suggest some down below, that would be brilliant. But if you did enjoy this video, everybody, please do leave a like and subscribe if you're new. And until the next video, everybody,